Welcome to the Art Project. We are going to finish the book that I started in a previous video by adding a cover to it. So this is the book. I'm basically just putting it on a piece of mat board and tracing it, and then I'm checking the measurements of what I traced to make sure that my lines are even and square and all of that before I cut it out. So I'm going to cut it out with a piece of, I'm going to cut it out with a utility knife. Uh, Not all in one swoop. You have to make a couple of cuts in order to get it to go all the way through. Then I'm going to measure the spine, and I see it's about 7/8 of an inch wide. So I'm going to go back to my mat board and measure out a piece that's 7/8 of an inch wide and make a rectangle for the spine of the book. And then of course cut that out with a utility knife. Take your time here and try and make sure everything is as square as possible. So you see the layout of the book right here, but I'm also going to cut out an extra cover for the front, and I'm just going to use this to lay out the drawing and words that I'm going to put on the front, and I'm going to cut them out to give it sort of a three-dimensional effect. So there's three covers, a back cover and two front covers, and one of the front covers I'm going to use that to cut out my image and my lettering. I found an image of a crow that I liked, and I'm drawing that onto the cover, to the extra cover. And also, rather than use the word crow and making this book all about crows, I decided to go with Corvidae simply because it's a much cooler word, and that's going to allow me to do not only the crow but the raven, the blue jay, and all the other members of the Corvidae family. So I centered my words, my letters, centered my word on the paper and started drawing it. Eventually I'm going to cut it out with a utility knife, and it's hard to cut out small pieces out of mat board, especially out of mat board with a utility knife. So the bigger you draw your letters or your images, the easier it's going to be to cut it out accurately. I ended up doing all right here, but you'll see in a few minutes that my C ends up in like 2 pieces, and I think my A ends up in 3 pieces, but I just kind of hang on to all the pieces because I'm going to glue them down to the actual cover of the book. Keep everything in order, don't lose your pieces. Really easy to do when you're doing this. So obviously you don't have to do it this way. You can just have a flat cover and you can paint directly onto the cover if you want to. But I like to have this three-dimensional sort of embossed look to the cover. I don't know, just kind of a fun thing to do. But you can just draw whatever you want to on the cover, paint whatever you want on the cover, or leave it blank. You can also cover it in material of your choice. You could buy some uh, wallpaper or just some material or some of that scrapbooking paper, and you can glue it down to your cover, however you want to do it. This is sort of a new technique that I'm using here. Well, not right here, but the way that I'm going to bind all of this together is going to be a little bit new. At least it's the first time I've ever done it. Somebody else may have done it before, I'm not sure. But I'm going to use duct tape, and you're going to see here in just a minute how I do that. But spoiler alert, I'm going to use duct tape. Make sure you glue everything down good. I'm using stick glue. You need to spread the stick glue all over it liberally, probably extra coats of the stick glue to make sure everything's down and good. Put a board on top of it to keep it flat and let it dry for a couple hours. Stick glue dries pretty fast, but I let mine go ahead and dry for a few hours. Then I'm going to put down several coats of white paint. This is the first coat of white paint. I think I ended up doing 2 coats of the white paint. It wouldn't hurt to do 3, and it makes everything look a lot more cohesive, a lot more solid, like it was all one piece of board. Um, the paint kind of fills up all of the cracks on the sides of the uh, board, on the sides of the crow, on the sides of the letters, and it just sort of coats it in a thick piece of plastic. That's what acrylic paint is plastic. So when it dries, it's plastic. It's just a thin sheet of plastic. And so the more plastic you put on, the more acrylic you put on it, the thicker your plastic. Then I use this black 3.0. This is the darkest black that you can buy. I'll try and leave a link in the description down below where you can get some. I'm not sure if you can get it on Amazon or not. But it's the blackest and mattest black paint that you can buy. And I like it a lot. So I'm going to put it on this crow. Eventually I'm going to put 2 coats of this black. I can't remember if I put 2 or 3. I think I might have put 3 coats of the black, and there it is. Now I'm going to use Gorilla Tape. Gorilla Tape is some awesome stuff. I'm going to put it on the binding and push it in real good, and then flip it over so it's kind of rolled. Then I'm going to put the cover and spine together, and then I'm going to stick it all together, and then I'm going to use the Gorilla Tape to go around all of the sides, all the edges. Once I've gone around all of the edges, by the way, I ripped it in half, so it's a smaller strip of Gorilla Tape going around the edges. But once I've done that, I'm going to then glue the inside first page to the front cover, and the inside back page to the back cover with some stick glue. Put a weight on it and let it dry. Both times I let it dry about 30 minutes or so. Now I'm going to coat the front cover only the black paint. I'm not going over the duct tape, but I do want to go right up against the edges of the duct tape. I kind of want to seal the edges of the duct tape so it doesn't unravel. You know how it has a tendency to get those little strings that stick out? One of the things I wish I had done, I wish I had paid more attention to the tape as I was tearing it. Where you tear the tape, you can see the unraveling of it. The factory cut is a lot smoother, and I wish I had put the factory cut on the outside of the book and folded the torn part over onto the inside of the book. But live and learn. So anyway, I'm using this matte medium to coat the front and back cover and sort of seal the edges of the duct tape and protect the black paint that I used. So also makes it a little bit easier to just take a wet cloth and wipe it if you need to. So there's my book. Hope you enjoyed it. Now it's your turn to go make a book. I saw someone had sent me a picture of the book they made. I like the way it turned out. Can't wait to see the cover on it. So anyway, that's it.